Just like on YouTube, you know, if someone hasn't hooked me in 30 seconds, you know, I might move on. Please don't move on from this video, but I might move on. Hello, thank you for joining me. Today I wanted to just briefly touch on a subject in the gaming industry that's caught my attention recently. So last week on Friday I put out my Gamer Weekly video, and in that video I talked briefly about a new service that's coming out of France called Blade for game streaming. And I just wanted to talk about it. It's been something that I've been thinking about since Wednesday, Tuesday. I'm kind of working on an article right now that kind of dives into it a little more in depth and really discusses where it's exactly at in the industry, because when it first started, it wasn't something that I really thought was going to be a thing. I was I don't want to say I was incredulous, but I was a little incredulous about game streaming as a whole, just the amount of data that it would require to do the streaming, the amount of hardware that you'd have to run the games, and those types of things just didn't seem to be something that would be surpassable. The other thing that really kind of resonated for me, which I didn't think would end up allowing gaming to move into the streaming genre, is me and my wife own. That's what we do. We buy our movies. We like to own our movies. We've never been big streamers, and about 2 years ago that kind of changed a little bit. We still own and buy a lot of Blu-rays, just like most people do, but we got an Amazon Prime membership. And when we got the Amazon Prime membership, we got it for free shipping, we got it for the reduction in prices, we use Prime phones. There's a whole bunch of things that we use. You know, my mic is a Prime mic, the boom that I have is a Prime boom, the shadow box, that's, you know, there's all kinds of things that I have in day-to-day life that are just, you know, Prime basics. I have a lot of good products. So when we got that, it was definitely a service worth paying for. We also came with a streaming service, and I was like, oh, okay, we'll check that out, through it on the Xbox One. It's a huge part of our lives now. I wouldn't say huge, but it's a daily part of our lives. We have it on the smart television in the kitchen. We have it downstairs in the family room on the Xbox. It's going to make its way onto the TV in our bedroom, because it's just so easy. It's so convenient. It has changed how we consume media quite significantly. As I've been exposed to people of a younger generation, because I am getting old, as sad as that sounds, I've noticed that there's a change in media consumption habits with Pandora, with streaming music services, with reading books on e-readers, with movies. And I know that this is going to, movies and TV shows, I know this is going to bleed over into video games, sadly. Because I actually do believe that it's going to have negative consequences for the industry as a whole. Like, I think it has had negative consequences and positive consequences on how we consume visual media in the form of movies and television shows. I didn't realize how the younger generations just view media and consuming it in this like almost disposable manner. It's not something that's permanent. It's not an investment that they're making, that they're buying this thing. It's just they have this service so they can watch things, and then when it falls off, it falls off. They've watched it. I didn't understand that was really kind of permeating culture, and that was changing how we view TV and how we view movies. And I know that this transition is now coming to video games. I say that I know that it's going to change the game industry because I can see Xbox and Sony and Amazon and other big players in the market, NVIDIA, all lining up, EA, Steam. They're lining up because they want to have a regular subscription from people. They want to have a regular flow of consistent revenue that they can grow upon. And selling games is something that's dependent on what games are coming out, what titles are coming out. Are they good titles? Are they titles that everybody wants? Are they titles that are a niche market? I don't think that as a whole it's going to go the way that they want it to, but I don't think it's going to go in the manner that I thought it was going to 5 or 10 years ago, if you'd asked me. I think that it's going to be very similar to Amazon Prime and Netflix in the sense that there's going to be groups of people that is the mainstay, the lion's share of what they consume is through a video game streaming service. There's always going to be people that are going to want to own a physical book. They're going to want to own the movie. They're going to want to own the video game. In tandem with that, just like my life is now, I want to own. There are certain shows that I want to own physical copies of. I own every season of Big Bang that's out right now. I own every season of Modern Family that's out. There's other shows that I'm a fan of, that I've been a fan of for a long time, that I own the entirety of all the seasons that have been put out. There are video games that I'm always going to want to own. But if it came to a point where a video game service was good enough, had a large enough selection, and was of an affordable price point, and I say affordable because right now services, are $10 a month for some, $30 for others. When you get into EA and Origin, it's $30 a year. This new system that's coming out with Blade, the Blade system that's coming out, I think it's the Shadow Box, is coming out of this French company, Blade. There, you're looking at anywhere from $35 to $50 a month, depending on how you set your subscription up. I'm not interested in paying $35 a month, quite frankly. I would be interested in maybe spending $100 a year to have a subscription to a streaming service, if the quality of the streaming was good enough, and if there was a large enough library. So I could definitely see that being a supplement, having access to games that I not necessarily wouldn't invest the money in, unless I got them on a Steam sale, but just being able to, okay, I played that and I'm done. My concern, though, is that this will change the video game experience. This will change how we interact with video games. This will change. Video games will begin to be perceived as disposable. And I say that in the sense that I know that Amazon Prime has changed how I watch television and how I watch movies. I used to buy a movie, sit down, and I'd watch the whole thing. And I would be a little more savvy about making my purchases. I'd be like, well, I don't know if this is good. Or I know these actors and I know this director. I've heard good things. I've read good reviews. I'm going to buy that. Now I flip it on and it's like 30 minutes in, if you haven't caught me, or 10 minutes in, if you haven't caught me, I'm going to shut it off. I'm going to go to the next thing. Just like on YouTube, if someone hasn't hooked me in 30 seconds, I might move on. Please don't move on from this video, but I might move on. I think the same is said of video games. I think if people have a streaming service, they go start playing a game, they're like, this just isn't me. They might not, they're just going to move on to the next thing, and that could be really discouraging for developers. That could really change the industry. I mean, could you imagine if video games had to hook you in the first 3 minutes? I mean, it would just be turn into this massive competition to see who had the biggest wow factor in the first 30 seconds. And not every game can be like Skyrim, where you started on a cart and 4 minutes into the game you're getting attacked by a dragon. Not every game is going to create that kind of immediate in your face, It's not. Most games take a little longer for you to develop, to understand the controls, to understand the environment, to kind of lay the foundation of where the game is going. Let me know your thoughts. I'd be interested to know if you think that this is going to be a good thing or a bad thing, if you think it's going to be a thing, if you think that discs are just going to go away altogether, or purchasing stuff off Steam it's just going to go away and everything's eventually going to be subscription based. I would be very interested to know your thoughts. Thanks for tuning in. If you haven't already, please take a moment and subscribe to the channel. We appreciate it. It's the easiest way to show support and help encourage us to make more videos. I'll see you when I see you.